Hello, welcome to Real Estate Proverbs. I'm your host, Kevin Jefferson. And Real Estate Proverbs is a podcast that will be highlighting African American real estate professionals who are doing awesome and extraordinary things in the real estate space. What you'll get from this podcast is you'll get insight on different positions in real estate. We'll interview real estate agents, we'll interview realists, we will interview loan officers like myself, Kevin Jefferson, the People's Lender. We'll also talk to appraisers to gain insight on the appraisal process. We'll talk to real estate attorneys, different aspects of real estate investing from real estate investors. So, a little bit about me. My name is Kevin Jefferson, of course, and I am from Delaware. And the how I got into real estate was back in 2003, a year after I graduated from college. I went to a local college to see about obtaining my master's degree. Well, as I had finished the had finished my session with the counselor, the advisor, I walked out into the lobby, and it was actually on campus of a local community college that had different colleges for education. And I picked up the community college booklet. And as I was walking through, I was looking through the booklet and I happened to see the real estate course. Well, I saw the real estate course and immediately said, stopped in the middle of the hallway and looked at the form that said what I need to pay to obtain my master's and how much it was to get the real estate license or take the real estate class. Well, I decided, hey, I'm going to go to get my real estate license because that's endless earning potential. Whereas with my master's, depending on the position that I obtained after I got it, it would be limited earning potential at that point. So I called to see about the real estate class, and it actually was full. So I asked the person on the other line, I said, when will we be offering it again? And she said, well, we've been getting a lot of calls and we're currently working to see if we can offer a second course. Would I like to be on the waiting list? And I said, sure. So they added me to the waiting list, and finally I got a call back saying that they had opened up the second class. Mind you, 2003, the real estate market was on its way to its boom. And I went, took the class, passed the class. It was time to take the state test, and I did not pass on the first try. So I went back, took the test again, and that time I either passed either the state or the national. So then you have to pass both in order to go. The caveat to that is in Delaware, if you take the test three times and you don't pass both sections, you have to take the class over. So I had one last shot before I had to take the class over. I went, took the test, and failed. So I had to take the class over. Well, in the meantime, the part of Delaware that I'm from were very close to Maryland, and Delaware had reciprocity with Maryland. So what I did was I took the Maryland class, and when I took the class, it was like 5 days, 8 to 4, or 9 to 4, real intense class for like 2 weeks in order to pass the class. Well, I took the test in the class and I failed. Then again, I took the test in the class as a makeup and I failed again. So by this time, I'm a little discouraged, and being discouraged, I still went to complete the Delaware class. So I went, took the class back in Delaware again, and I passed the class, no problem, same as before. Well, I went and I had to wait because it had to be a year in between the time that you last took the test in Delaware. So I waited whatever amount of months it was. I took the class, and I failed either the state or the national. It was actually the state that I failed. So I took the national, and again, I went back and I had to wait a year between the last time that I took it, a year between the second time that I took it. So I waited, took the test, and I failed again. So I just had to take it was a state portion. So I knew that at this point I had been at it for over a year looking to obtain a real estate license, and I wasn't able to pass. So I went back to Maryland and took that same crash course again. So I took the crash course. I passed the test in the class, and then that allowed for me to go to Maryland and to take my test again. Well, take my test. So the general portion of the test is the general portion. It's good for all 50 states. State is state specific. So I took them. I went to Maryland, took the state test, and I passed the state and the national on the first try. So I was excited. I hugged the lady at the testing site, and I had accomplished one of my goals. So the next step was for me to pass the Delaware portion. So I went to I got my Maryland license, everything. I signed up for the Delaware test, and I had to drive all the way to Crofton, Maryland. So I had set it up, and I wasn't going to study. I said I wasn't going to study. I knew this information. I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to go take the test. So I take the test. Mind you, Crofton, Maryland is like an hour and a half from where I was living. So I take the test. And when I took the test, I started looking at it, and I raised my hand so the tester could see it. And I said, "Hey, this isn't the test that I should be taking. It was the real estate test, but it was the general portion, and I needed the Delaware state specific." So he looked at it and he said, "Well, Mr. Jefferson, this is the test they sent. And the only way that we can get you another test is we have to send it in and they have to reset the test." So I leave, and I have to wait until I can call in to the testing site and have them reset the test. So the closest date was again in Crofton, Maryland, and I went back to the same testing site. And this time when I sat down, I took the test. Now, mind you, this is my final time taking the test in Delaware, or I would have to take the class for a third time. And by that time, I still said I wasn't studying, I wasn't doing anything different, because in my mind, I felt as if though I had studied too much. In the meantime, while I got my license, I had helped a few other people with the class and helped them pass, and they had became real estate agents before me. So I finally take the test, close my eyes. After I push the button, I say a little prayer, I get up and I go out. And I know that if you pass the test, if you fail the test, it's one sheet of paper that comes out and it tells you what it is. So I'm waiting for the papers to come out, and lo and behold, page one came out, and then a second page came out, and I had passed the test. So I was so excited for getting my license. And I tell that story because when I got into real estate and I start selling it, I want to encourage people. They don't ask you how many times you took the test. And very few people know how many times I had to take the test, except for my immediate circle or people I share it with. So definitely be encouraged. So in 2004, I get my real estate license. I've got my license in Delaware. I got my license in Maryland, and I began practicing real estate with a locally owned company. And At the time I was working third shift at a adolescence facility, and I was, staying, getting off at 7 in the morning, getting about 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and then going into the real estate office just to gain, some knowledge. Um, I learned a lot, in that first year. I had a decent first year, a piece of first year, 2005. I was a rookie of the year. And 2006, I actually was in the top five in my company for real estate professionals, which I didn't know. I was still in there, I was 24, 25 years old, and I was getting everybody's what I considered crumbs, leads that they didn't want to deal with, or they would pass them to me because they didn't think they were paying out, or didn't know if they were paying out. And just by me working and gathering everybody's leads and crumbs that they didn't want, I was able to have a successful year and crack the top five in my second year, not knowing that wasn't my goal. I just wanted to sell houses and be successful, and begin to sell real estate. And as time progressed, I think every year that I was with that company, I was in the top five, considered an all-star with that company. Uh, you know, 2015, I had a life-changing experience. My mother passed, and as my mother passed, um, we decided to move to Metro Atlanta. And when we came to Metro Atlanta area, we were looking to obviously purchase a home. I'd never rented in my life, so I didn't know about renting. I never lived in a rental or anything. I always grew up in a house. And I found out that we couldn't purchase at the time, but the loan officer we had worked with had asked me, had I ever considered becoming a loan officer? And I had, but I had been a realtor so long in my small town that everyone would probably get it confused. I didn't think realtors would work with me because they knew I was previously a realtor, and just the transition would be different. So October 2nd, 2015, we moved to Georgia, and I, wanted to get the kids situated in daycare, get, situated for a job. And lo and behold, it was hard finding a job. So I said, well, shoot, if I'm going to spend this much time looking for a job and putting in applications, then I'm either going to be a realtor, or I'm going to do, mortgage, be a loan officer. I had some knowledge of a loan officer because I dealt with them. I had some friends that were loan officers, who were actually, I became friends because they were my loan officers. And I used to sit in their office, and when we went through transactions, just ask questions and figure out how we could get deals to go, and what made this deal go and what didn't make this deal go. So I like the problem solving aspect of the transaction. So I take the class here. I told my wife, hey, I'm gonna take the class to become a loan officer. It was a 3-day crash course. It was a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all day. So I took it. I passed. I passed the test on the first try. I passed the test on the first shot, and then it was time to take the time to take the test. Well, I was supposed to originally take the test the weekend of Thanksgiving, and I didn't. So I scheduled it for the following week. And when I scheduled it for the following week, the class that I had taken they allowed you to come back and to take a refresher. So I took the refresher portion on a Friday, and that was the portion that I wasn't very familiar with because they had just started the TRID rules in 2015. So I took the refresher course, and then Saturday I drove to Athens to take the test. From my understanding, the test was hard, and of course, you have that fear. 69% of people, I think, either pass it or fail it the first try, or something like just a high number. So I take the test, and as I'm taking the test, I'm like, man, this seems easy. And I'm thinking, man, either it's easy because I know what I'm doing, or it's easy because I'm messing up and don't know what I'm doing. So I take the test, I hit the submit button, close my eyes, and then when I opened them, it said I passed. So I passed the mortgage test on the first shot. After I passed on the first shot, I was excited. I got back to my car and, called my family and let them know that I passed the test. And we were excited. I had an offer from one company from the loan officer who actually asked me to kind of intrigue and, pique my interest with being a loan officer. But I didn't really know what else was out there. So I started searching and looking just to see what else was available. I looked into some banks, I went online and I just, started looking and applying online because I didn't really know any other loan officers. Well, a couple weeks that went by and I was getting no calls from my resume. I was spending a lot of time uploading resumes and cover letters and just, spending, 8 hours a day doing that as if it was a job. So one day my wife came home from work and I told her, I said, hey, listen, this is not working, me applying online for jobs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write up my resume, select a couple places to go to, type up a cover letter. I'm gonna go in, dress up and go in and ask to meet the branch manager. So I went to a couple of places. I went to a couple of Wells Fargo's, one in Duluth, one in Gainesville. When I got in, of course, the gatekeeper was there, and they didn't. Well, the lady who came to the door came out. I asked for the branch manager, and she's like, do you have an appointment with him?" I said, "No, I like to, leave my resume. I'm interested in real estate." Um, she went in the back, and then I guess, lo and behold, he came out. He came out. I talked to him, and what he said was he was impressed that I came out to, just popped up with my resume and prepared to talk to a branch manager about a position. He said he would get back with me. To kind of circle back, I actually went to the Wells Fargo in Gainesville first. And when I went to the Wells Fargo in Gainesville, that branch manager was doing an interview with another potential loan officer. So, they asked if I could come back, and I said yes. I left my resume. And by the time I got from the Wells Fargo in Gainesville to Duluth, I was in the parking lot at the Wells Fargo in Duluth, and the branch manager had given me a call and wanted to meet. So I had an appointment with both branch managers at Wells Fargo. So when I finally talked to the guy in Gainesville, I found out that he was under the other branch manager. I think he was his regional manager in Duluth. So I could work at either office if I wanted to. So, we talked, they interviewed me. They said they were impressed. He said that he thought I was a go-getter because I actually came in and didn't wait to see if someone would give me a call. And he said actually he never hires anybody from online because he doesn't have a feel. He can't get a feel for the person. He said that that shows initiative coming in person. So at this time, I'm waiting for Wells Fargo. I'm still looking for other positions with different companies. I interviewed with PNC Bank. The branch manager wanted to hire me. The regional manager, I interviewed him. He asked a bunch of questions. In the meantime, while I'm waiting to hear from different companies, I'm networking with different professionals, real estate professionals. And they, when I interview with him, he's asking me, how much business is this person going to send me? Are they guarantee you any business? And I told him, I said, well, nobody can guarantee you any business. He just felt like I didn't have enough experience, which was cool. You know what I mean? Listening to them and seeing what they did, I wasn't sure if that was the right fit for me either. So after a while, I just say, you know what? I need to get my feet wet. I need to get some experience. And I decided that I was going to um, go with Wells Fargo. And Wells Fargo said that they were waiting to get me taken care of. I had to get background check, fingerprinted. In the meantime, while I'm waiting and not hearing anything, um, I, call Homestar, and I tell them, hey, I'm interested. So now I'm waiting for two. So I'm waiting a couple of weeks, and they both told me the same time. So I decided, I said, whoever calls me first, that's who I'm going with. So lo and behold, they called me the same day, except Homestar had called me earlier in the day and they were ready to they made me an offer. So that's who I went with. Circle back, it's not circle back, but moving forward, 5 years, here I am, um, doing what I consider pretty well in the mortgage industry, still learning every day. I've established a ton of awesome relationships with real estate agents, attorneys, real estate investors, home inspectors, appraisers, just, VAs, just people in the real estate space, different vendors, home warranty companies, just a ton of different people who make the real estate world go round. And real estate, I love real estate. I love, the deal flow. It's challenging at times, but it's rewarding, to help someone purchase a home. So with that being said, real estate proverbs will highlight African American realtors who are real estate professionals who are doing extraordinary things. Like I mentioned in the beginning, since I've been in real estate and since they came out, maybe the last 7, 8 years, I've been an avid podcast listener. And I felt like there was a missing piece in the market. Like you've got one related to real estate, you got some related to investors, you've got some that is a hybrid between real estate agents and investors, but typically that real estate agent is an investor. But I haven't heard it, and I'm not saying there's none out there, but I haven't heard one that's specific to real estate, and it gives you a combination of them all. We're going to speak to some dope people throughout the United States who are killing it in real estate, um, different levels, some barrier breakers. I love the interview. It doesn't feel like work to me. We've got some amazing episodes coming up. So definitely pay attention and stay around. Once again, I'm your host, Kevin Jefferson with Real Estate Proverbs, and I look forward to seeing you. Have a good day.